Hey everyone. So just a quick update to go over. Um, Mainly, I've just still been using the PPO algorithm, and I've been bringing it up to speed with where I had my previous DQN learning bot at. So a little bit of what I've been doing is just, you can see over here on the right side, I have my DQN bot, and I've just been going through and honestly cleaning up the code a little bit, mainly just extracting some of the inputs that I was doing out into functions within my utility file, and then these functions are now just being used within actually both of the algorithms, so within both the PPO algorithm and within the DQN algorithm. So that's a little bit of what I've been doing. You can see now that the input into our PPO learning bot is greatly expanded since last time. So I think last time I recorded, I only had things like the expected damage being passed in, but now we also have move accuracy, the health of my party, my opponent's party, sort of a function that estimates how valuable a matchup of my Pokemon versus their current Pokemon will be, and then also just now I'm testing with adding back in some sort of comparison for the speed of the Pokemon. This function looks kind of wild. This one is just describing the low and high inputs of every possible input. So you can see that there's now a lot of inputs coming into the network, but the network has been doing really well overall. So I took some benchmarks. So one thing that I did was I updated the reward function. So previously the reward was weighting a lot of different things. Now I've converted it just to be a little bit more simple. It's just the difference between my health and my opponent's overall health. So adding up the sum of all of our party's healths and then just taking the difference between the two. This is how I had it for the DQN algorithm, and this seemed to be working pretty well for me. So you can see that once this was trained against a max damage player, it was winning roughly 63% of battles. Then I just slowly started adding back in some of the old inputs, and so you can kind of see how each one affected it. So there was a minor jump when I added in, or rather, so this is almost the baseline here. After I changed the HP, this is when I reduced it to only have the expected damage of each move as an input. When I added back in the accuracies, honestly, there really wasn't a change. I imagine maybe it's not really learning to rely on the accuracies yet. It actually regressed a little bit when I started adding in party healths. And then when I started adding in the matchup estimates, it seemed to start to get back to where it was. Again, these are honestly relatively small sample sizes, so there's going to be some variance in all of these numbers. So, strictly seeing 137 versus 134 would not definitively say one is better than the other. But you can see here, I decided to try and train with a few more steps. So this is with 75,000 steps, which in this instance translated to roughly 2,600 battles. The winning rate against a max damage player jumped up to 73%. I trained it on 10,000 steps, and it jumped up to, let's see, what was that? Yeah, I think that was 100,000 steps, actually. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. And yeah, you can see that went up to 74%. I took a look back at the baselines I had previously, and it seemed like roughly the highest I got to was around the 79% win rate against the max damage player. So there's still a little bit of room for improvement here. And then I actually did try it against the simple heuristics player on 100,000 steps, and it did pretty well. It won 57 out of 200, so a little bit under 30% of the battles. Previously, again, I was at around 35% on the best case scenario, but again, this is honestly less than half of the training battles that I was using previously. I think at one point I might set this up to run just on a huge number of battles just to see how it is performing. But yeah, for now, as we can see, things seem to be progressing. The PPO bot is learning kind of up to par with the DQN algorithm, and hopefully once I modify the inputs a little bit and do some more training, I'll be able to figure out how to improve it more. So that's it for now. Thanks.